Yo, 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 yo. Welcome everybody to Power Plays Palace, man. We back again early in the morning, getting ready for the market to open. So, let's not prolong the process and let's get right there to it. Alright, man. So on Friday we was looking at a pre-market high of 765.64 and a pre-market low of 764.25. Not a huge big gap there. Previous day low of 762.04 is below both of those, and the previous day high of 768.15 is the high of both above both the pre-market high and pre-market low. And so what we were looking for, if SPY could break above the pre-market high, we was going to try to target the previous day's high, and then from there it was 770, 772, 774, and 776. On the bear side, what we were looking for is if we could, SPY could go, if it went and it tried to break through the pre-market high and it couldn't break through that pre-market high, then we were going to be looking for a pullback, and then we was going to be looking for a breaking, try to see if it break below the pre-market low, which would be the first target, and then we will be targeting 762, 04, 760, 758, 756, and 754. And that's what our chart said on Friday. So let's see what actually went on Friday. Alright, so what we had happen is SPY, in doing the pre-market, it started to go up. And remember, told you there's some earlier trading going on, so be mindful of that. So we'll be covering it, like that. So SPY was going up, started to go up in the pre-market. It got to 766.15. Then it came all the way up here and it got to 766.85. And from there, it started to work its way down. The regular market opens at 9:30, and that opens up here at 766.05. And from there, it goes and it works its way down to 764.18. Comes up, pushes the 765, then it comes back and retests the 764 level twice, that low of the data they had established, before it ran all the way back up to 767 with a brief pullback here at 11 o'clock. You had a brief pullback here to 765.46, which was the low there before it finalized and went up to 767.84, the high of the day. Once it did that, it pulled all the way back again to 765, which was a $2 move, but that was at 2:30. So from 11:50 to about 2:30, we had some slow, I ain't gonna say slow because these 5-minute candles, but SPY was working its way down till it got to that low of 765.06, actually the lowest it got back to before it came back, and it pushed all the way up here to 766 again before closing out the first part of the day at 765. And then we had from there in our 15-minute session. Right after that, it pretty much consolidated. Once it consolidated, but you can see overnight it went all the way up, and it actually overnight, before it closed Friday night 8 o'clock, it got all the way up to 767.40, and then it closed the night at 767 even. Now this morning during the pre-market, when it opened up at 763. Now it closed at 767.07, but when it opened up at 763.67, and it established that low of 763.50 during the first 5 minutes of the opening. But you see, it went all the way back up, and it did test the 767 area, so it did close that gap. And then during that same 5-minute period, and then it started to work its way down where it closed this candle. Now this candle closed at 763.92, which means it went up, tested, and came right back down. And now you can see what we got in the pre-market so far, where it established that high right there because it went all the way up, but it also established that low. And with the market set to open here a little earlier, it's 6:48 right now. You can see what SPY is doing. It look like it could possibly be coming back down, but we'll see what happens as the market opens. So let's go back over here to this chart. And like I was saying, on Friday, you could have played this thing a couple different ways. It did go up, and it did go up in the pre-market, the 667, 666, and it pulled back. So you could have played it, maybe one level two here, and maybe one or two going the other way back up, because it never got past that high of 667.84. But it did make a couple of good moves, like pulling down to 664, 764, and then going back up a little bit when it did push back up a couple of times to 665, 666. So you had to be playing it pretty close and pretty tight in those windows. But again, you could have made a couple good plays in there, depending on how you played and when you got in. So let's look at the chart for today. Alright, for today, what we got is a previous day high of 767.84, previous day low of 764.18. Our pre-market high is 767.19, and then we have a pre-market low of 763.50. Like I just showed you on the chart, how everything was kind of moving, so you can see that. Now, what we have right now is, if SPY was to go up and push through that previous days, because the previous day's low is in between the pre-market low and the pre-market high, that'll be your first target, what you'll be looking for. If it can go up and retest and break through that and hold, then we're looking at targeting from there the pre-market high of 767.19. And then from there, we're looking at the 767.84. We got to respect that, because that's the previous day's high. And then from there, you're looking at 769, 770, 772, and 774. These are psychological levels. So they're going to be looking at, trying to keep the whole number of targets. Because, again, as SPY builds up in this area, you'll start to see more consistency on these levels, specific levels, because of the fact that it'll be establishing, these battle zones by operating in these levels for as long as, more buyers and sellers, retail buyers and sellers get involved with the market up here. And then, but if it goes up and it tries to test the previous day's low first, and it can't break through the previous day low, then we got to look at our target at 763.50. And then from there, we got 762, 760, 758, and 756. And this is on the bearish side, because if we get a rejection, remember, because the previous day's low is in between the pre-market high and pre-market low, you got to respect that area for what it is. And then from there, we'll be looking for, if it was to break up past that and hold, we'll be looking for 767.19. But if it rejects off of that in 767.84, and we get rejections off of that, then we're going to have to target back down at the 765.50 and the 764.18 range. And that's based off the previous levels that SPY reacted to. So that's if we was able to break above the previous day low, which is that first target and hold, but we're not able to break above the pre-market high, and that's where we'll be. So, right now, it could be some battle zones today because of what happened in the pre-market with that gap up and gap down and that long candle that you see in the beginning. But if you stay disciplined and hold your levels, then you should be fine. Now, that's our trade plan for the day. It's Monday, so we're going to see what happens. A lot of things going over the weekend could cause some changes, so we'll see what happens with the market. But stay disciplined to your levels. And this is not financial advice. It's just some ideas from a person that trade every day. Stay disciplined for your levels on any trade that you do. Go into it with a plan, and then like if you wanna, take risks, do it with a good stop loss so you're not taking too much of a risk. And again, like I said, it's not financial advice, but just some ideas and things that I would do as a trader in that situation. But here we are right now. We're about to get started for the day. Get out there, get your trade in. It's your boy with Power Plays Palace. If you want to join us, come over to Power Plays the Discord. We'll be over there. We'll be trading or whatever, and that's what we do. But for you all, have a good day. Get out there, get some trades in, and do your thing. It's your boy, man, Power Plays Palace, and we out.